Whoopi Goldberg being canceled is an interesting thing to talk about. And I'm not going to go into the details of whether I think it's good or bad that she was canceled. And I'm going to do that on my other channel at the Kenim O show. So make sure you go follow that. I'm going to break it down over there. But I want to focus on cancel culture and how certain people are uncancelable and others are not. And so let's look at this, right? Whoopi Goldberg is canceled for making silly statements about the Holocaust. I mean, I've met Holocaust survivors. I've learned so much about the Holocaust. So for me personally, I just think it's just like a really ignorant statement. But again, I'm not going to go into these details about that. So we see that, right? Then a housewife was canceled. So I don't know her, but I think her name is Jenny Young. They canceled her because she made some, she had some racist posts on Facebook. So they canceled her. But Fresh and Fit are going around saying nonsense and nobody's touching them. Nobody's canceling them. Why is that? Why can some people get canceled and others not get canceled? And it comes down to this one thing: ownership. Ownership. Now, here's the thing with Whoopi Goldberg. I know she's making crazy money. I think she's making like $95,000 a week on The View. She's making crazy money, and she's been on that show since 2005. So she's gotten like $76 million like from that show. She's rich. So traditional media is so different, right? It's so different from new media, right? But the question is that compromise, right? Because when it comes down to it, if people own you, they can cancel you, they can fire you. But when you own your own platform, nobody can cancel you, nobody can fire you. But the catch is you probably are not going to make the same kind of money. Now, Fresh and Fit, I mean, let's be generous and say they make, let's say $400,000 a year, because they still have to split it. So it's $200K each. Whoopi Goldberg has made that money in 2 weeks. Right. But at the end of the day, they have ownership of their platform. So what is more important to you? Having a lot of money and having no power, or having power and not having a lot of money, but having good money, but just not a lot? And don't get it twisted. At the end of the day, there are good reasons for traditional media and people that own stuff, traditional media, like creating these systems and these confinements and canceling people, because they have such a huge platform and they've built it because they don't upset their audience, right? And these individuals that own these platforms, these individual platforms, they don't have a massive audience. They have a very niche audience because they don't know how to go mainstream. They don't know how to cross over. And they're not going to be able to cross over when they make offensive statements. So yes, they have this niche and they're making this good amount of money. But number one, how long is that money going to last for? Number two, it's not that much money. Sometimes it can be. But you really have to have the mind and the intellect to be able to make that kind of money. I was listening to Jason Lee on Clubhouse, and he was talking about how, he owns everything. Nobody can cancel him. No one can fire him. And I mean, I don't know if he said this. He said he's okay with making like $10 million a year as opposed to getting this mega $30 million deal. But at the end of the day, the way that he talks on his platform is offensive to some. And it's putting him in a position where nobody wants to open those doors for him because of the way that he talks. Because he's not playing the game the way that Hollywood wants you to play the game.
I run myself. You can't fire me. I'm a boss. I'm the boss. There's no boss over me. There's nobody you can call. I got a phone call and somebody said, Jason, I'm so proud of you, everything you're doing, blah, 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 blah. I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And they were like, I just wanted to call you as a friend because that video you posted about Whoopi. I was like, yeah, you watched it? They were like, yeah, you're gonna be doing 20, $30 million deals. Like, you going to the next level. You're next. You got to be careful because you don't want a video to come up in a conversation when you're trying to get a deal done to get that 20, $30 million bag. I said, let me tell you something.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I'm not just motivated by money. I'm motivated by influence. Don't call me and tell me that I'm going to lose the money and lose my influence because I don't walk the party line. I'm gonna say what the fuck need to be said. I don't
Period.
believe Whoopi Goldberg should be on suspension. That doesn't mean
At
that
Period.
I hate.
all.
That doesn't mean that
At
I hate
all.
Jewish people. That doesn't mean that I'm a racist. It just means that this is some fucking
Yeah.
bullshit. And how dare you disrespect her in Black
Speak,
History Month in front of our fucking faces?
Hmm.
Exactly.
speak,
You know what I mean?
talk that talk.
Yeah, that's why
So
I had
it's
to
just like
salute you for
them.
that.
It's like them disrespecting me, saying, "Yo, you're not ready to host the Wendy show, but we want you to come on with Cardi B and Tiffany Haddish, all the people that we can't fucking book." And then I'm like, "Yo, okay, I'll come on this fucking unseasoned show and kill it. And then what? Then who gonna sit in the seat after me? Because you're not gonna be able to fit nobody in that seat after I sit in that motherfucker." But what they do,
Period.
they run my story with Kanye West on the Wendy show. And so what I did was I had my team pull all my stats with one interview, and I had pulled all their stats on the show. Their show gets 986,000 views. I got 2.5 billion impressions. What you mean I'm not ready for
Come
the show?
on.
Are you fucking crazy? But that's white
Come on.
people controlling niggas, right? And I'm just not with that shit. Like I'm good over here. If I make 10 million a year, I'm okay because I don't got no husband, I ain't got no fucking kids, and I'm good. I don't need $100 million, but I'm gonna get
But
it when I
what
sell my
does
company.
ready
But
look
Not
like
Yeah,
to
you
yet.
never
them?
do.
What does ready look like to them? What
Black people watch the shit. Black
mainstream?
black people watch the shit, and black people buy the shit, but it's not created for them. So if they find somebody black, it got to be a black that's a non-threatening black. It got to be a black that's a
Yeah.
controllable black. It got to be a
That's
black who
unconformed.
is
Yeah.
a workable black. It got to be a black who's a
Mhm.
bendable black. And I'm just very
Step
much
and
like, give
fetch.
me the mic, turn on the fucking camera, and let's go. They don't like that, and so that's the one part. And the second part is they can't say I'm not ready social media wise. I got more social media followers than Wendy Williams. They can't say that I'm not ready wise, guest wise, because I'm getting the biggest interviews. I've had Kevin Hart comment, Tiffany Haddish, fucking, but Lil Baby's baby mama on Saweetie and Kanye West. And who they hold on, Kanye just texted me. Make sure he ain't okay. Yeah, so I don't care if they say I'm not ready. As long as I keep doing the work, I'm fine. I'm good.
And so that's kind of the issue that he's having. Yeah, he's making a lot of money. He's making millions of dollars, but he's not in a position where he's making these $30 million deals, $100 million deals that we're seeing from these talk show hosts that are doing his exact same job. And why is that? Because he hasn't conformed to the standards of the mainstream media. Now, when you look at Oprah, she's a very unique case because she had ownership and she was able to merge the two because at the end of the day, it was still the 90s. If she wanted to distribute her content, she needed to make sure she followed the television confinements of what was acceptable to be aired. So even though she owned her platform, she still needed to appease her buyers. She still needed to appease her customers and make content that they approved. And that has led her to become a billionaire, firstly. And it also led her to create her own network that is mainstream. That enabled her because she knew how to follow the rules that were necessary. So at the end of the day, look, I personally love the idea of ownership. I love the idea of nobody being able to cancel you. But the real question is it worth it when you don't play the rules and you go as far as Fresh and Fit and you offend groups of people and you're unapologetic about it and egotistic about it because you don't think that you need to because you own your audience, but you'll only ever be small, right? You'll only ever be small. You'll never go mainstream and you will never make the millions of or tens of millions of dollars or even billions of dollars like the Oprah Winfrey's. But again, maybe that's not what they're trying to do. Maybe they just want to make content, whatever they want to make, and just be happy that way. But when it comes down to it, I think that people should also understand that if you make like a Jason Lee, he makes like $10 million. I don't know if he makes that, but he threw that number out in the air. So let's say he makes $10 million. You don't need to go on to get a $30 million deal from a studio and be their slave. If you make $10 million, put that money into crypto or put that money into, the right investments. Go to Silicon Valley, make the right investments with that $10 million and you could be worth $100 million, maybe even $1 billion. So like, it's just about, at the end of the day, I really think about it, right? How come some people make it and others don't? Like, I'm in this YouTube game. And I'm like, getting my production quality at the stage and standard it is easy to me, right? And I look at other YouTubers that maybe they have a massive following. I'm just starting out. But I look at them and I'm like, why is your production trash and you have like 1 million followers? And to me, it's like, I don't get it, right? But the reason is because they don't have the experience. They don't have the training that I have. I have 16 years of prior training that put me in a position to set up my camera in the right way, put up my lighting. I'm the only person doing this, right? And also to distribute the way I'm distributing. So inevitably, when I'm in that position where I have 1 million followers, because I have traditional media training, I know how to create my content, and I know what tools I need, especially when I have more resources, to be able to appear more mainstream and therefore become more mainstream. And that's the difference between an Oprah Winfrey and a Kevin Samuels, or an Oprah Winfrey and even a Whoopi Goldberg. Because Oprah Winfrey worked in news. She worked in broadcast television before. She understood the makings of it. She understood how it worked. And then she went to go and replicate it herself. And I luckily have that experience too. I worked in broadcast television. I understand how it works. I have that experience. And so now it's about, how do I build a following, number one, and then put that into the new media landscape in a way that no other YouTuber is doing. And even though the only ones that are really doing it are the ones that are filmmakers. And I also have that filmmaking experience. And even with the ones that are filmmakers, they still don't understand the distribution and the marketing that I understand from traditional media. So I think I say all this to say that knowledge is power. It's not just about the money you have. It's not just about the following you have, but it's about the knowledge. If you can marry that knowledge with a big following and finances, that's when you can create like an Oprah Winfrey, as opposed to creating like a Kevin Samuels. But those are or even like a Wendy Williams instead of a Kevin Samuels, because Kevin Samuels has just as many followers as Wendy Williams, but Wendy Williams is worth like $60 million or more. How is that? And Kevin Samuels is, I don't know what he's worth, but he's definitely probably not even a millionaire, not to be harsh. Why is that? Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Do you agree? What are your thoughts on cancel culture? What are your thoughts on ownership and paving your own way? And what are your thoughts on my commentary about knowledge is power? Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. Peace.